man, I don't want to waste my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this whole lockdown quarantine, you just don't. Nobody knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Maybe some people do, but majority of us did not know.
Yeah.
Right? So I started thinking about like, if there was no next year, right? Like, what are the things that I want to do? Like, starting today, next week, next month. Like, I'd rather do things that I love and what I'm passionate about.
And in today's episode, it's a kind of get to know each other, right? So you guys get to know us, who we are, why we started this podcast, what we're passionate about, and kind of our vision and our goals, for this podcast, like where we want to go, and we hope we can just inspire others to follow their bliss, regardless of how young or how old you are. It's never too late. So, I'm Isaac, and this is.
I'm Joe.
And all right, well, welcome everybody again. Like I said, and let's get right into it. So, the realm of content creation, which is basically the new form, a virtual artist. Basically, you're a virtual artist, and is completely changed forever. I might make a vlog about that, but when Joe Rogan and Ninja signed these $100 million deals, it basically said, if you're the best in this industry, right now you're worth $100 million, right? And my ultimate dream is to own an NFL franchise. So that's why I was in this previous business before, because that's the only other business I ever saw that would be able to allow me to be that wealthy, right? Because I can't create an app. I'm not like super tech savvy. Obviously, it took me a while to figure this out, right? But I feel like if I can get realigned with my natural gift, like, you in photography, me in art and speaking, and I learned through my last company, I have a natural gift for speaking and listening. I learned how to be a listener, right? So hence podcasting, right? So after that, I felt like, wow, like I can enter this industry, this realm. I can be creative, like when you pursued your photography, right? By the way, she's an amazing photographer. Check her out. What's your Instagram?
My Instagram is JV only, and on the bio you'll see my photography Instagram.
Yeah, so JV only, and then you'll see her Instagram on her bio. So she's gonna be sharing our message as bliss seekers, right? Because we're following our bliss through her photographs. We'll be sharing our experiences and the experiences of other amazing people that we come across during our journey through the podcast. And we'll also be sharing travel and other stuff through the YouTube channel, which is Bliss Seekers as well. And we're going to, have an amazing journey. But today is about getting to know each other. So we got to know each other 3 years ago, right? We clicked. We kept in touch. And thanks to this quarantine, we're now here, right? And we're going to talk about that, right? So I don't know, maybe share, what was your quarantine experience like? Or what when this first happened, like... talk about that, like,
Well, for me, ever since my birthday back in February, I'm like, I need some time alone. I need some space. I thought like I need to really figure out what I want to do for the rest of the year and the year coming forward. And I was working until May 30th.
Okay.
Then I got furloughed, which I have no problem with.
Yeah.
And then I just started thinking about like, man, I need to get back to photography. I need to start doing what I love the most and taking photos of what fulfills me and basically follow my bliss, right? Yeah. So I recommitted back to doing photography, right? And I invested in a lot of gear and equipment. And I started thinking about like, I really want to go start traveling again, not just traveling out of the country, but like being a tourist in your own city, in your own state. Like, how could you not be? It's just it's a good mindset to have. Right. You know what I mean? Because I figured I've taken the Bay Area in California for granted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
All of us have. I grew up here.
Yeah. So it's like, I need to stop doing that because a lot of people come out here, they move out here to be here and live here and appreciate all the resources that we have. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and that, like, having this like plan and having this idea is just really excited me. and then I think that's why it attracted you to reach out to me and give me a call, like, you know, talk about having a podcast and travel channel, and it just like for me it was like alignment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
I love that quote. What's that quote you say about alignment doesn't
oh, so Abraham Hicks, she said it doesn't take time, it just takes alignment.
Yeah. Did you hear that, guys? It doesn't take time. It just takes alignment.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times if we're doing something that's not our bliss, it's not our purpose, it might seem like it just takes forever. It just drags on. Well, it does, because you're not passionate about it, or you're not in alignment with the universe, right? And
Right.
then so once you get into alignment with your purpose and your natural gifts, I think it just goes very fast, because it's kind of like, it's not easy, but it seems easier because you have the energy and the excitement to
Yeah, and I started reading a lot of books, and talk about law of attraction and energy, and we're basically vibrational beings, right? Like whatever you put out there, you attract.
Right.
You know what I mean? And to me, I was like, I know I got some healing to do with like emotional and past traumas and stuff like that. And I did a lot of that. And also, like, I was like, man, I don't want to waste my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this whole lockdown quarantine, you just don't, nobody knew this was going to happen. Maybe some people do, but majority of us did not know.
Yeah.
Right? So I started thinking about, like, if there was no next year, right? Like, what are the things that I want to do? Like, starting today, next week, next month. Like, I'd rather do things that I love and what I'm passionate about. So that's where all the ideas come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during the quarantine, you decided, like, after you got furloughed, basically, you really wanted to put
I was like, man, I've always wanted to just explore, go explore and take photos and discover new places, new people, new things, and it's like, to me, the world is my playground. And if we could do that and have a travel channel on YouTube and provide value for other people too, and make a living out of that, that's even better. How could you not want to do that? You know what I mean? So, but it all started as obviously as a passion for it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's cool, because I'm very similar. Honestly, like, if you would have asked me in February, if you would have told me in February, like in July I'd be starting a podcast, I would have been like, what are you talking about? Because in order to be great at anything, you have to be all in, like 100%. Like, you can't have anything else, because you could be a jack of all trades or you could be a master of one. That's what I learned in my previous company. And so I was really just all in with the company. Like, I never really watched TV. And it's nothing wrong with that, but I was focused, right? Like, we had meetings, we were at the office all the time. I was not sitting at home watching YouTube, right? Like, I was actually busy and out there doing stuff, traveling with the company. So if you would have asked me in February, or if you would have told me in February, by July, you'd be pretty much doing a 180-degree career change. You would have just invested almost $5,500 in equipment, and you just started your podcast. I would have been like, what? Like, that's crazy, right? I didn't even know, I had heard about the Joe Rogan podcast. I had listened to a couple, like Addicted to Success by Joel Brown. It was an amazing podcast. I used to listen to Generation V, Nehemiah Delgado. Nehemiah, man, what happened? Your podcast is awesome. So anyways, I started listening to podcasts when I would go to the gym, but I never thought I would be doing one myself, right? It happened. It didn't even happen at the beginning of the quarantine. It happened like maybe like 2-3 months ago, or 2 months ago, maybe halfway through the quarantine. I just started to watch YouTube, and I started watching more because I was watching it on my TV. And I just started getting into like vloggers, and all of a sudden I was like, wow, this is very interesting. Like, wow, like, this is pretty cool. And I think most people out there are tired of commercials. They're tired of these shows that takes too long, right? Like, I mean, people are busy. Like, no, seriously, I mean, right? They're busy. They want their content quick. They don't have an hour to sit there. They don't have 30 minutes, but they do have 15 minutes. They do have, or maybe, you know, a podcast. Obviously, that's going to be long, right? But, you know, they could listen to a podcast on the way to work. They could listen to a podcast, you know, when they're working out at the gym for an hour. But for as far as like watching TV and stuff, I don't think people like want the commercials. They don't want all that stuff. They want to pick and choose, get their content, get it quick. I mean, I have cable and I pay like $130 a month for like 500 channels, and I watch like 3. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what the heck, right? But I'm stuck to this package because I want those 3 channels, right? Like, if I could just pick TLC because I'm like into that 90 Day Fiance show.
Oh, TLC?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't remember the last time I watched TV, by the way.
By the way, that's a good thing, kids. Don't watch TV if you don't have to.
Exactly.
But I don't watch TV, but I got hooked on this crazy show called 90 Day Fiance. I think it's like the #1 show.
I heard about that.
Yeah. But you know, I actually really like that show because I had a similar experience. The first time I was married, I met my wife in a different country. We had this like long distance relationship for about a year. And then she moved to the United States, and we had 90 days to get married. So it was like the same thing. It just wasn't filmed by TLC and shown by everybody. So anyways, we ended up getting married. It didn't work out, but it's exactly like the whole premise of 90 Day Fiance, right? Obviously, they pick like crazy couples and like, you know.
Very
unusual couples, right? Yeah, like, you know, recently they had this guy called Big Ed or whatever, and he has like no neck because he's like 4'11", like no neck, like looks like a penguin kind of. And he met this girl from the Philippines, and she was like 23 and he's like 50 something, right? But obviously it's almost like you can't stop watching it, you know what I mean? Because it's like so crazy. Anyways, I digress, right? You know, and I don't even watch the show. I just DVR it and I watch it when I have time, and I fast forward to the commercials. So to me, I think, by the way, this Band-Aid, sorry, I cut my finger today when I was cooking. But people don't want to sit there and have to watch these commercials if they don't have to. They want to pick and choose exactly, you know, what they want to watch. And like, because of this whole quarantine, like YouTube viewership increased by 72%. Like, that's crazy, right? Zoom, which, you know, is like a business video conferencing app. They only had, I think, about 10 million users in February. They have almost 400 million users now.
It's a big jump.
Yeah. So the point to all that is, because of this quarantine, because I got stuck watching YouTube, I realized like this is the future, by the way. And then now I see like almost anybody, like Tony Robbins is doing a podcast now. Like,
I thought he's been doing a podcast.
I don't know. Well, I've never seen it before. This other guy, Patrick David from Valuetainment, right? Like, he's doing the podcast, and he's actually he owns a company in the industry that I'm in, right? It's one of our, I wouldn't call them competitors, but one of the other types of companies that same thing that we do, and he's now doing podcasts, right? And he actually has a really good video when Joe Rogan had just signed, talking about how, man, this changed the game. Like, you know, he's saying that like in the next 10 years, and I agree with them, you're going to have like this Joe Rogan contract's going to look tiny. You know what I mean? It's going to look like, dang, like that used to seem so big, but 100 million, man, you know, the Bliss Seekers, they just signed for $1 billion with who knows, right? YouTube or Spotify, or maybe there's a new
maybe there's a new one.
Maybe there's a new one
know.
that's challenging both of them. That's trying to find talent. So content creators are now like pro athletes, right? Like back in the day, you know, when the first NFL player signed $1 million deal, it was like 80 something, 83 or something, and it was like crazy. And then free agency happened in the 90s, and Reggie White signed with the Packers, and they won a Super Bowl a couple years later, right? And they paid him like something like $7 million or $14 million. I don't remember the exact details, but that was like huge back then. Like, whoa, like 14 million. Now people are making 30 million, 14 million a year, right? Back then, his whole entire contract, which was one of the biggest free agent contracts at that time, which seemed ridiculous. now people make double that per year, right? So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I connected with you. And that's why I believe this is the future, you know? And anybody can start. Like, I mean, we're here starting in this little podcast here, but man, the vision, I see us being big. I see us signing a $1 billion deal in the future. That's my goal 10 years from now, right?
It's
and
possible.
then I can go purchase an NFL team, and you can go travel the world or do what you want to do, right? But yeah, that's kind of what the quarantine did for me. And I'm like, now I'm doing a complete 180 after spending almost a decade in this last career. I can feel confident. I know it's going to take time, and I know it's going to not happen overnight, but I don't feel like I'm making a mistake, because I feel like I'm leaving one 7-figure opportunity to go into another 7-figure, or maybe even 8-figure opportunity, or maybe 10-figure opportunity,
Greater,
right?
Yeah.
But I believe I can do better here because it's in alignment
for
with,
what you want.
Yeah, what I want, my natural
heart,
gifts, right? And so that's what kind of the quarantine did for me, because now when God puts life back on play, I'm going to be doing something totally, completely different, right? And you can just see it. Like, I could see it when I take pictures of myself, or, you know, I just feel like I have, like, they say when a man finds his purpose, he lights up, right? He comes alive, right? So I feel like I've come alive.
Or woman,
right? Yeah. So when they say man, when they write these quotes, they talk about man in general, man, woman, whatever. Humans, right? So when a human finds their purpose, they come alive, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what the quarantine kind of did for me, and you know, I think it's exciting, right? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think also there's power in sharing and storytelling,
right?
And we all have a lot of stories to tell, and you just never know who you're going to inspire out there, whoever's listening, you know, whatever story or experience that you're going to share with the rest of the world. So
100%. They say facts tell, stories sell, right?
That's a good one.
Yeah, because you know, when you tell a story, you talk to somebody's heart. When you say facts, you're talking to their brain, and their brain's like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the brain is where all the objections come from, right? But the heart, there's no objections, right? So, you know, I agree. You know, hopefully, whoever's listening to this out there in the world, hopefully you love our content, you love our podcast, and you get inspired yourself to make a change. You know, hopefully you listen to this before God puts play back on the world, on life, and maybe you're not satisfied, and maybe you are not fulfilled, and maybe you are not following your purpose. I mean, it's 2020, man. It's a whole new decade, you know? It's not 2019 to 2020 wasn't just a new year. It's a whole new decade, right?
Yeah.
So it's a new decade, and if you don't feel like you're satisfied, fulfilled, you're like in a career you don't think really is in alignment with who you are, then I challenge you to go out there and make a change. Like, don't just like give it all up if you have a family and stuff like that, but you know, do what it takes. Like, work your 9 to 5 and then come home and spend 6 hours and spend an hour of quality time with your family, have dinner, and then spend a couple hours building your side hustle, right? And eventually maybe your side hustle will become your full-time gig, right? That's kind of the goal here, right? So let's kind of let's go into getting to know each other a little bit more. And obviously you're from the Philippines, right? Yeah. So so you came here, I think what you said was
year 2000.
2000.
I was 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about growing up in the Philippines, and you know, talk a little bit about, like, you know.
I was a little bit of a bliss chaser.
Bliss chaser, okay.
Yeah. I wanna put it that way.
Yeah, you mentioned exploring earlier.
Oh God, I love exploring and playing with my friends, going to different places. So let's start with I was always around family growing up, like my cousins. I have an older brother. My aunts are there, and there's always people around me who love me and I love as well. And I always had friends, so I was around people all the time. One of the things that I love the most is waking up, going outside, go play some game with my friends. This is before we started getting into video games.
Right. Yeah.
Before we got stuck in the house for hours, like all day, every day.
Yeah, because I'm a Generation X, so I still remember that. We used to play a lot, right?
Yeah. So we would go outside and go play. And it was just like a nice little connection that we had, with your people your age. Yeah, and holidays are a big deal out there. I remember I think my favorite holiday is New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Okay. What's that like in the Philippines?
Dangerous.
Dangerous?
Like,
yeah.
So I remember the last New Year's Eve that we spent there was like year 2000, right? My mom didn't even let me go outside.
Really? Whoa.
Like, it was like all the firecrackers, it sounded like gunshots. It
Oh,
sounded like there's a war outside
Oh my
my neighborhood. Like,
Wow.
it was nonstop for
That's
hours.
crazy.
Like, you can't hear anything. And it was just like, oh man, I wish I could watch. But I was like, oh fuck, I don't want to get hurt, know? Because every year you watching news, there's people are always getting hurt. I shouldn't be
Yeah.
laughing, but people's ears will be blown off.
Oh my gosh.
Hands.
There's always that one, right? Arms? Jeez,
Yeah.
What are they using? C4
So-
explosives?
Dude, like, I don't know what the hell they use out there, but to me it was really exciting because we would, my mom would always prepare all these kind of foods, and some of my cousins and my relatives would come over, and that was my favorite holiday. I miss out a lot, like this whole gathering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I like fireworks,
Yeah.
but not when it's too dangerous. But anyway,
The Filipino parties, man. You guys go hard, man, with the food
there's
and
always
the
food.
family.
Yeah,
It's like a lot
karaoke.
of people. Yeah.
Also, one of my favorite childhood moments is us riding a bike, riding bikes,
Okay.
bicycles, right?
Right, yeah.
And we would go to like different neighborhoods. Sometimes I would get in trouble because I went too far or
Okay.
it was too late.
Yeah.
But it was exciting to me. I was
Yeah.
like, I want to go somewhere else. Like I'm always gonna come back home. That's
You
home.
were following your bliss, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've always been that type of person. Like, if I'm gonna go there, I want to go there. Like, I don't care if someone tells me no. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be somewhere else and experience that
Right.
and see it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And also, like, growing up, I did see a lot of death.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's like always like, even in our neighborhood, it's like, feels like every week or every 2 weeks, someone's always dying.
Someone's passing away.
Someone's passing away.
Wow.
Yeah. So for me, it's like,
Is it from like health or like?
it could be like health related. It could be accidents. It doesn't matter.
Oh, wow.
So for me, it's like from an early age, I saw death.
Oh, wow.
People getting sick. It's like looking back now, I was like, man, I must be traumatized and I didn't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember also one of my favorite childhood memories is us traveling to go visit our relatives into a different like continent.
Yeah.
Or,
A
yeah.
continent?
No, there's 3 continents.
Okay.
Yeah, so we go to like a different city
So
and
the
like a
Philippines
province.
has 3 continents?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I-
So
Wow.
yeah, it's beautiful. And
That's-
yeah, just traveling and going to different places, because like if you're stuck in the same environment, that's boring all the
Yeah.
time. Like, I need to grow, I need to explore.
Yeah.
That's just my personality. So yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I'm super fired up to get to the Philippines because, she's from the Philippines. So
Yeah.
we're already planning to, I don't know how long we're going to spend out there, but
A month.
A month at least, right? And we're just going to travel and document the experience. And
Yeah.
I mean, because I just heard the Philippines is, I've already seen so many travel vlogs and just beautiful beaches and beautiful water and stuff like that. But I'm excited to go to the Philippines,
Yeah, and also since we're both plant-based diet.
That's right.
Last time I was there, which is almost a year ago, all I ate was vegetarian and vegan food, by the way. So they have that going on out there.
Wow.
I am so excited to go back and like
That's crazy.
finally there's healthier foods, healthier choices.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about that because I'm Hispanic myself. I grew up in a Mexican family. My father's from Mexico. My mom is from Texas, but they're both Mexican. You grew up obviously in the Philippines, but also a Filipino family. But those 2 cultures are not very known for the healthiest
Yeah,
of
I agree.
cuisine. You know
I
what I mean?
agree.
Like,
I agree.
like, I mean, it's good food. Don't get me wrong. I love my tacos, enchiladas, burritos, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, what's your favorite Filipino dish, or what were your favorite?
What was my
Yeah,
favorite?
yeah.
Um, damn, probably sinigang.
Sinigang. Okay.
Sinigang. You know, people
I don't know.
joke around
I
about
say it
that.
with a Latin accent for
Yeah,
some reason. Yeah.
sinigang, whatever.
Sinigang.
It's basically like a sour soup
Yeah.
with vegetables, and you can add pork or
Yeah.
like chicken.
Yeah.
Is it chicken or beef or something like that?
Yeah.
That's one of those. Yeah.
I grew up with a half Filipino best friend, like in high school. So when the aunties would all cook, because it was all like all Filipino women married to either Filipino or a white guy, right? He was like half Filipino, half white. And I remember, man, like they used to throw parties and it would be like pancit and lumpia and toron and and like it was just and chicken adobo, and
Yeah.
I would literally have to roll like out of there, right? But yeah, so
Were you already vegan when that happened?
no, this was in high school.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah,
High
so
school.
I've only been plant-based, aka
Plant-based.
vegan,
Right.
for 3 years now. But I'm very happy about it. And by the way, if you don't eat plant-based, we're not like those vegans that are gonna like talk smack.
Yeah.
But I did it for health reasons, because I just was not feeling good anymore, and I still ate healthy. I never really was one of those people that drank sodas and, excuse me, like ate a lot of fast food, or I never really ate bad, but I just never felt good anymore. Like I felt lethargic all the time. So I kind of did it for health reasons. But I remember growing up, my father was like the best cook in our family. Like not just like he was the cook in the house. You know, most traditional families is the wife is the cook, right? But in ours it was a little opposite, because my mom worked at Intel. She had a really good job. So my mom was making more money than my dad in the beginning. So my dad would cook a lot, right? So, and he still cooked even when he passed her up in income. But so like I mean, every time my father would cook, the whole family would come over. Like it would be like a party, you know, like my dad would make like anything, like bomb ass enchiladas, or he would cook 3 types of meat per meal.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like every meal had like we had our steak dish, or our beef dish, our pork dish, and our chicken dish, right?
He's a master chef.
Yeah, like
Master
he
chef.
was never like technically a chef, but he owned a taqueria. Like
Okay.
he bought a taqueria back in the day, and he increased the business like 8-fold. Like after he bought it, it went 8 times more business, right? Because his food was that good. But he gave it up because restaurant, man, that's a lot of work. And it's like pretty much becomes your life. And you know, my mom, my sister, and I, man, we were loving it, because my mom would just pick up money from my dad and we take us to Disneyland. But my dad was there like 24/7, right? So anyways, you know, we would just have amazing food, but it'd be covered in cheese. We would have all kinds of meat, like just dairy and animal products up the yin yang, but a really good food, right? And I started to gain weight, you know, because I'll be 43 in a couple months.
Doesn't look like it, right?
No, I know I look super young. Everyone thinks
We're the
I'm like,
same age.
I don't know. I think I stopped aging at 26, right? Everybody thinks I'm like 26. It's just awesome, you know? But I just, after like, you know, my 30s, I just, man, every time I would eat, I would just feel so sluggish and lethargic. And I'd work out. Like, and I'd eat just chicken. Like chicken, fish, shrimp, you know. I wouldn't really eat beef a lot. I rarely ate fast food. I didn't drink sodas. Like, I was never into sweets. But I just never felt good, right? And, you know, traditionally the Hispanic cuisine is not the healthiest, right? You know, both of my grandfathers died from diabetes, like bad. Like they died in their 50s, like young, and diabetes got them. And, you know, I used to think that diabetes was my death sentence, right? That's kind of why I did eat healthy, because I saw my dad changing, because my dad saw my grandfather, his dad, like literally deteriorate. They had to chop off both legs, and because he had gangrene, and he had to like, he was in pain. I mean, I just remember him being in pain in a wheelchair, and he died very young, right? So I was like, man, I don't want that to happen to me, you know? So then I started eating more like, you know, chicken and like healthy, and I ate no fast food, but I just still felt horrible. Like no matter what I ate, I was always bloated. I was always tired. Well, come to find out, obviously after doing all my research and watching some documentaries and reading a couple books, I was like, oh, well, no wonder, right? No wonder. So I made the change purely because I didn't feel good, no matter what I ate. And literally, it's the best thing I ever did. I lost 35 pounds. I look younger. My hair grows faster. I'm not bloated. I'm not lethargic anymore. Most of my digestive issues, if not all of them, are completely gone. Like, I feel like I'm regenerating, right? So what about you? What was it? What was the reason that you decided to make the switch?
Exactly the same thing.
Exactly the same thing?
I felt like crap.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny because you told us
Crazy.
the story about your grandfathers.
Yeah.
My father's aunt, one of his aunts, right? I call her my grandmother too. She passed away due to diabetes complications. I remember when I was I think 5 years old. I remember hearing that her leg needs to be cut off.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy.
and she was probably the sweetest grandmother. She is actually the sweetest grandmother I've ever had.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And I just remember her like feeling so much love and compassion and affection from her.
Right.
And the next thing you know, she's gone.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we're attending her funeral.
Wow.
And I think that's something that's always been stuck with me. Like, it's so, like, with the health stuff, I've always carried that throughout these years. You know what I'm saying? Because this is more than 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? I'm 31 now. That's
Wow.
like more than 25 years ago.
So that
And
really stuck in
I
your mind.
always remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grandmother, she had these complications from diabetes, and one of her legs, I guess, had to be cut off. And I'm like, whoa, right? And then next thing you know, she passed away. Yeah,
Wow.
she passed away. We attended her funeral, and this is what I'm saying, right? I seen death by like a very young age, you know.
Yeah.
And then I remember living here in California and going to attending middle school or elementary school. I would eat Lucky Charms in the morning, and I would always feel sleepy in class every
why.
morning.
Yeah.
Like, why? I can't even concentrate.
You got
I
that
can't.
sugar crash, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot listen at all. Like, I felt like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I didn't know that
That's
it was
crazy.
it was the food I was eating.
How old were you when this happened?
Probably like 10.
Yeah, 10 years old.
Yeah.
You're already like, what's going on? What's wrong with me?
I just remember feeling like crap, but
Yeah.
at that age, at that time, I didn't know any better.
Of course.
My parents didn't know any better. They feed me
Yeah.
with the best of their knowledge, and I love
Yeah.
my mom for that, and even in high school, I would go eat McDonald's right after
Yeah.
school. I drank a lot, partied a lot, and I think in my early 20s is like I was with one of my girlfriends, well, an ex-girlfriend at that, my ex-girlfriend now, and we decided like, hey, we need to start eating healthier.
Yeah.
I feel like crap. I'm tired of drinking every weekend.
Yeah.
And we watched this documentary called Vegucated
Okay.
on Netflix.
Okay.
And I was just blown away. I was blown away, and I'm like, we actually have options.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to hate on people who's not, who eats meat or whatnot, because 99% of the people I know eats meat. But
Yeah.
it's like, I have options.
Exactly.
And I don't want to eat animals.
Yeah.
I love animals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And the more you learn about it, it just
Yeah.
seems crazy.
Yeah, it's like I don't need another living thing to die for me to survive.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
100%.
Yeah, and that's why, anyway, so I started we were vegetarians for a week.
A week. There you go.
I remember looking at myself in the mirror like, damn, I look so pale, right?
Yeah.
And then
That's the whole fear. Everyone thinks they're gonna freaking wilt away and fall apart. I've been vegan for 3 years and I'm fine. Yeah.
So this is back in the early 2013, 2013, right?
Oh wow, that was
Yeah.
even before I even decided. To go
Yeah,
plant-based.
so I went. I was vegetarian for like a week, right? And then I realized I need to have fish. I need to have sushi.
Yeah.
Shrimp.
The
So,
habits, right?
I realized so being a pescatarian was easier for me. So I've been a pescatarian for like 7-8 years.
Wow.
Even being a pescatarian, I started slowly just eating vegetarian and vegan.
Yeah.
Even though I claim, I'm a pescatarian because I still eat, seafood here and there, even though I rarely do.
Yeah.
And from
your
then
body
on,
adjusts.
yeah. And then, I've always knew in my 30s, I'm going to go vegan.
Okay.
So my last birthday, which is 5 months ago now, February, 5 months ago.
5 months ago, okay.
That I've been plant-based completely ever since.
Oh, that's awesome.
All I had to do, thank you. Yeah. All I had to do was give up cheese and what was that one? Eggs.
Okay.
Because I gave up cheese last year already.
Okay.
So I'm already like doing it step by step kind of thing. And all I had to do was give up eggs. It was easy because now we have vegan eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
To replace
I just made
that.
some this morning. They were bomb.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think most people, like, it's just the lack of knowledge and support and all that kind of stuff.
Exposure, I think, too, because also, to me, it started with an intention. Right. I want to be healthier. I want to live longer. Yeah. And I want to be able to, obviously help my parents with their, live a healthier lifestyle. Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned about your grandmother, because the reason, like, I remember when I was 13 years old, like, we used to have like Twinkies and Ho-Hos and Kool-Aid and all the American, unhealthy stuff. And I just remember one day I was like 13 or 12 and I come home from school and all the sweets are gone. All the fast food is gone. All we have is iced tea and it's watered down. My dad goes from cooking like with like lard to like olive oil, like just 180, right?
Yeah.
I guess my dad had learned somehow. I don't know if he watched something or what, but he switched it, right? Yeah. And he has a similar story because he told me the other day, he's like, I saw my dad falling apart and I didn't want to end up like that, right? So that traumatized him where he said, I don't want to end up like that and I don't want my family to end up like that, right? So he did the best he could, like you said, because we don't blame our parents or whatever. That's all they knew. Yeah. And I don't blame anybody out there who's not plant-based if they don't know, because if you don't know, you don't know, right? But he thought he was doing the best he could for his family, but he didn't realize still he was, still the animal products and the dairy was still not good, right? I listened to a podcast on Addicted to Success with Bruce Lipton. I don't know if you know who he is.
He sounds familiar. So does he have white hair?
Yeah, he's an older white guy.
Okay, yeah.
So he talks about epigenetics, and I didn't know what the heck epigenetics was.
I think I've heard of epigenetics.
So basically the podcast, the bottom line was, disease is not hereditary. It's not in your blood. It's not in your family. They said something about only 5% of diseases are hereditary.
I agree.
The rest is diet and lifestyle.
Right.
Because that's what we inherit from our parents and our grandparents. We inherit their genes, yes. We don't inherit their diseases. We inherit the diet and lifestyle that leads to those diseases, right? So I can only speak for the Mexican diet. Everything fried, lots of sugar, lots of cheese and lots of animal products. Like, hello, that's a recipe for diabetes, that's a recipe for obesity, that's a recipe for heart attacks, right? So after listening to that podcast, so I think I did start to do podcasts in like 2017 and started with Addicted to Success. Maybe one day we'll be featured on that one, right?
We will.
Yeah, but I got so much good knowledge and information from those podcasts. And by the way, if you haven't listened to it, go to Addicted to Success. Find the Bruce Lipton podcast interview. I think it was 2017. Man, it's going to blow your mind. Basically, the bottom line is we control our health.
Yeah, I agree.
And disease is not hereditary. It's diet and lifestyle. So if you're out there having the standard American diet, and isn't it crazy? The acronym for standard American diet is SAD. So if you have a sad diet, you're going to be sad.
That's a good one.
You're going to probably get sick. And then I started doing more research, and then I obviously learned about nutritionfacts.org and What the Health. And, come to find out, I'm like, dang, like pretty much we're killing ourselves by the way we eat. Like, God forbid, like, we could have had a loved one that could have been in our lives maybe 10, 20, 30 more years if they had just only known, right? Just a switch. They say a plant-based diet can prevent or reverse 14 of the 15 major chronic illnesses.
I agree.
So 14 of the 15 things that kill most people can be prevented or reversed with a plant-based diet. So, yeah, I mean, coming from these cuisines, it's probably pretty difficult, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was very fortunate because my parents went vegan around the same time I did, which was totally random, but it helped me because I wasn't the only one in the family. I've always been the black sheep or whatever, like the one that does different things I never really wanted to do like everybody else, but I think it would have just been a lot more difficult if I was the absolute only one.
I'm the only one right now.
Yeah, see? So
I'm not giving up on them though, but
so don't give up on them. Just be the example, you know what I mean? That's what I've done, But like it's crazy because supposedly the good life is like steak dinners and wine and all this. I mean, I love wine, but I haven't drank in a couple years now because it doesn't feel good anymore. But like that's like supposedly the good life, but really that's the life that's going to kill you a lot faster, right? Where plant-based diet, no alcohol consumption, like exercise is like really the way you should be. You know what I mean? To be healthy and want to live the longest, right? But yeah, I mean, it's the best thing I ever did. I don't know about you. I don't know how you feel. How long have you been?
I feel great.
Great, yeah. I mean,
I feel great. I came from eating meat and rice for breakfast every morning.
Of course, right? With an egg. Right? Probably.
To eating oatmeal with blueberries.
Yeah.
And cinnamon powder.
There you go.
Put almond butter on top of that and some oat milk.
Yeah.
That's what I had this morning. Some little granola in there. I feel great. Yeah. For sure.
Most people, one of my goals, one of my dreams is to teach people how to veganize their cuisine. Because you can make the same Filipino food, the same Mexican food. You just have to substitute. You don't have to. I mean, now they're getting so much better. Like before, cheese is still where they're a little behind, right? Daya is my favorite cheese. But they have vegan butter that tastes just like butter.
So good.
Yeah, Mykonos brand is like amazing. It comes like in a stick, right? They have so many good plant milks like Ripple. We're not sponsored by Ripple or Mykonos. Hopefully one day we will be, but like Ripple Foods, they have milk made from peas, pea milk. I don't like to say pea milk because people are like, what? Milk from pea? I'm like, no, like green peas, right? Yeah, PEA milk, right? So pea milk has more protein than regular milk, more calcium than regular milk, right? And then you have like almond milk and oat milk now.
Yum.
Oat milk is like the creamiest, right? Like, man, you got vegan butters, you got vegan sour creams,
mayonnaise,
vegan mayonnaise. Like I eat vegan chorizo all the time, right? Like Beyond Meat's doing an amazing job with their burgers.
Thank you so much.
Just egg. I don't know how the hell they made something that pours like an egg, cooks like an egg. Out of mung beans, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, so if you want to go plant-based and vegan, it's not that difficult now. It's just a matter of being able to deal with the leaving the tribe. When food is such a big part of community and culture, and when you leave that, animal product, dairy, the common customs, it's almost like you're leaving the tribe, right? And people are like, oh, like, it's like you almost don't fit in anymore. But I just want people to know, like, you're not going to miss out. Like, the only thing you're going to miss out on is chronic disease, feeling like shit all the time, getting old very fast, and maybe cheese doesn't taste the best yet, but hopefully one company gets there and makes cheese. Daya. Daya is good. Don't get me wrong. Daya, by the way, we're not sponsored by Daya. I hope one day we will be. But Daya, they're doing it. Okay, they did it. Like, I just made this like awesome, like, because I used to make omelets. Like, I used to eat eggs so much. I had a frittata named after me. Really? It's called the Estrada frittata because my last name is Estrada. And I literally would make this beautiful frittata that was like baked and like super thick with vegetables and cheese. And but anyways, I can do that now with just egg and dyed cheese. You know what I mean? I just made this bomb ass scramble with just egg, just egg, bell peppers, all different kinds, onions, mushrooms, and dyed cheese, and I crumbled up.
You're making me hungry.
Yeah, sorry about that. We'll eat after this, right? But I crumbled up like the Beyond Meat Italian spicy sausages. I actually cooked those separately, and they had so much freaking grease. I was like, I feel like I'm cooking bacon, right? And then I made some some potatoes with like garlic and all that. And I was like, man, this is freaking bomb. Like I was like, this is exactly like how I used to eat, right?
Yeah.
So people out there, like, if you want to go vegan or plant-based, you're not gonna lose much. Just do your research.
Yeah.
Hit me up. You can find substitutes, right?
How can they find you on Instagram, by the way?
Instagram, it'll be Bliss Seekers, BLISSSEEKERS. So Bliss Seekers. Or my personal one is Future GM, FUTUR, like future, like the future, and the letters G and M. I'll probably have some other ones in the future, right?
What about Vegan Legends?
I'm sorry, and Vegan Legends. So many, I'm getting lost. And you can if you want to go to my vegan Instagram, it's Vegan Legends. By the way, I want to eventually have a clothing line called Vegan Legends, so that's kind of where that's going to come from. But I started the Vegan Legends just to help out my family and friends, because they would ask me a million questions, and I'm like,
that makes sense.
Don't ask me questions, just go to my Instagram. I'll put everything right there, right? But it's really a lot easier, guys, and don't be afraid. The only thing you're going to miss out on is the sickness and the disease, and that's it. I mean, yeah, you might lose some friends, I don't know if I don't know.
Well, honestly, if they're really your friends, you're not going to lose them.
True.
They will support you.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
You'll get some hate, but if you can deal with some haters,
get some negativity.
I mean, my last business, I had to deal with haters and all that, but if you can deal with a little bit of haters, and they'll get over it eventually, right? Then you can make the change. But like you did, like I didn't go straight vegan, like 180. I actually went pescatarian first, because that is really the easiest.
Easier, yeah.
Because you can still go out with your friends and not be a weirdo. Like, oh, is this, having to search the menu, right? You can just get the seafood option, right? And then I went vegetarian, right? Because I was like, oh, like almost anybody says, I can never get rid of my cheese. Like, it's always about the cheese.
Yes.
And by the way, there's a reason people love cheese so much. It's more addictive than heroin. Because it's straight. You know why? Because it's casein, sugar, and salt. That's all it is.
I asked, like, I researched this question. Why are people addicted to cheese?
Yeah.
And then there was like a video or something, an article, and it's the casein.
Yeah, the casein. So they basically, I don't know if they boil it or whatever they do. They extract like the pure casein from the milk, and then it's filled with sugar and I don't know if it's sugar or salt. No, salt, fat, and casein, something like that. Like 3 of the most addictive but the most flavorful substances in the world. So basically, cheese is a drug. Bottom line, it's drug. Your kids are addicted to it. That's why they want pizza over anything else, right? You know what I mean? Mac and cheese, right? And that's why it's so hard. But after you make the transition, something starts to change in your body, right? I mean, cheese is addicting, but if you just transition, like you make slow transitions, it'll be a lot easier. Like, I think it took me maybe about a year to go full vegan, And by the way, vegan is a lifestyle, so I don't like to say plant-based, because the diet is a plant-based diet. Like I watch plant-based. Vegan is like, okay, now you're about the animals, you're about not wearing leather, because I think I still have some leather items, so I guess I'm technically not a vegan, right? But I'm trying to make that transition. I just bought some amazing leather shoes from I think it's called Vessi. And I want to be full vegan because I don't want to be a hypocrite, right? Like, but if you just kind of make a slow transition, it's a lot simpler than if you just try to go like 180 degree right away, vegan, right?
Yeah. My transition took a while too, almost a decade, to be honest.
That's pretty cool though, because
I started pescatarian, vegetarian. Like in my 20s, right? I already knew. I had intention. I'm going vegan. I'm pretty sure I'm going vegan in my 30s. I shared that with someone. I don't know who, but I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going vegan in my 30s. And 31 hit. I'm like, this is it.
That's awesome.
I'm, diving in.
I wish
Plant-based diet. Sorry,
yeah,
plant-based.
I wish I would have went plant-based in my 20s, man, because I had so many health issues as a kid, like asthma, and I had a lot of health issues, and I honestly believe it was because of the diet, because I was really eating traditional Mexican back then, like lard and fried and all that kind of stuff. So and we didn't know back in the 80s, like my dad never really let us eat fast food, which is, I don't know where he got that from, but I would have to beg my dad to take me to McDonald's, right? But I think I wish I would have gone plant-based earlier, because I don't know if I would have been maybe healthier, maybe more athletic, right? But I definitely wish I would have transitioned like a lot younger in life.
Can you imagine if we were like plant-based diet since we were born?
No, but I know there's a couple people out there. So Nimai Delgado, who's a very big vegan influencer, bodybuilder. He's like freaking ripped. Like his bicep looks like a freaking chickpea. Like he's like ripped. He's one of the top bodybuilders. He's a IBBF or whatever they call it, pro. I don't know if that's the right initials, but he's a pro bodybuilder. He's got his pro card. He was raised vegetarian. And then he went vegan a couple years ago. So he has never eaten meat in his entire life. I mean, he's had dairy, but he's never had animal like meat, right? And he's buff and ripped and like looks like what you would consider like a meat eater to look like, right? And he was raised vegetarian. But yeah, I mean, and obviously it's not hurting him, you know what I mean? And honestly, guys, like, it's 2020, like, it's so much easier.
I was gonna say it's so easy.
Dude, get this. Walmart. Hello, are you guys there? Walmart is like vegan central.
What?
Like, yeah, I used to go to Sprouts and Whole Foods and Costco and spend all kinds of money on trying to get like the Just Egg and the Diet Cheese. Walmart has Diet Cheese. Walmart has Just Egg. Walmart has all the vegan stuff and it's way cheaper.
Okay,
so,
I'm taking my mom to Walmart.
Yeah. So if
tomorrow.
you go to like one of the big Walmarts, like they'll have everything vegan there.
Okay, like a super center.
Yeah, the super
whatever.
centers, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to try to go plant-based and you can't afford the whole paycheck, aka Whole Foods, right? Like it's freaking ridiculous. Like I go to Whole Foods, I buy 5 items, I'm already like at $60. I'm like, how did I spend $60, right? But yeah, Walmart has a lot of vegan stuff, so maybe they're catching on, right? Yeah. And they have a lot of the frozen stuff like Morningstar Farms and all that. Again, if you go plant-based, try to stay away from processed food, because even if it's vegan, it's still not healthy for you. And there's people that eat like Oreos and all that stuff all the time.
Hey, I just had some a few days ago. I haven't had it in months, so it's okay.
It's okay. Right? So my point to that is you can be kind of an unhealthy vegan. You'll be healthier than someone who has a standard American diet or a Western diet. But if you eat all processed frozen foods, then obviously that's not very healthy, right? Try to stick to whole foods, which is fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, oatmeal, stuff like that, grains. And then throw in some, Beyond Beef every now and then. Throw in some vegan sausage every now and then. And you know what? It's okay if you're starting and you do that because it makes it easier, right? But the goal is to be whole foods plant-based, which what does whole foods mean? It means you eat the whole food. Like, with strawberries, like people used to take off the little green part. I eat the green part. Kiwi, the
green part in strawberries?
Yeah.
Which green part?
The little leaves at the end. You know how they...
the leaves. Stem. You eat that?
I eat that,
wow.
Kiwis, you know how people take off the brown skin, the furry skin? I eat the skin. It's not tasty, but it's whole foods, right? It has a lot of nutrients. Mango skin is really good, actually. I just started eating the mango skin, and it's actually... No, if it's ripe, don't eat it when it's not ripe because it's kind of tough. But when the mango's super ripe, the skin for me is tasty, and it has a lot of nutrients, too. So
we're gonna be doing that when we go to the Philippines and other tropical countries.
I'll eat I'll just eat it like an apple. People are gonna be like, "What the heck? This guy's crazy."
I can't wait to take a photo of that.
Yeah, but anyways, I just learned how to actually peel a mango because it was so difficult. But so like I sliced the two ends off, and then in the middle I just cut around the bone, and then just eat the bone, and then I cut it into like long slivers, and I eat the whole thing with the skin on.
Yeah.
So wash it too before, but yeah, try to go whole foods plant based, and if you've been thinking about it, if you're like you just want to make the leap, just do it, and maybe transition like. You can leave eggs in there. I mean, leave cheese. I wouldn't because I just think dairy is worse than animal products, in my opinion. Like, I was reading something. They say milk is basically full of cow pus. Like milk is basically mainly cow pus, and it's full of, like, estrogen. And I used to have a coworker who was a cancer researcher, and through her cancer research, she said the two main causes of cancer are stress and estrogen. And milk is like super high in estrogen. So hello, right? But anyways, just transition. Maybe go pescatarian first. Maybe just start weeding out stuff, but do it, because I mean it's the best thing I ever did. You know what I mean? And that's cool that
I've always said I'm gonna have vegan kids.
There you go. Yeah.
Vegan kids and vegan family.
Yeah.
Vegan wife, vegan family.
There you go.
That's the plan.
Let's talk about dating real quick, because I just want to mention something. We don't have to talk about dating because that might be a long story. But I had some trouble dating when I first went vegan. I didn't realize this, but like I never had an issue with women. It's always kind of been like something that's easy for me. And then I went
okay.
Yeah, no, it's true. I'm not bragging or anything, but then when I went vegan and I would ask them to go on dates and I'd be like, I'm vegan, they would like ghost me all of a sudden or be like, what? Because it's almost like it was the weirdest thing. Like they have to be open to plant-based food.
Right.
If they're not, it's we what are we gonna do? Go to a restaurant and I'm not eating, or like you know what I mean? Like
I agree.
So dates got kind of difficult, and I got ghosted by a couple chicks, and I was like, what? Like this has never happened before. Now it's easy to attract somebody that is plant based. Like now all the women I meet, maybe they're not vegan, but they're open to it, right? And I'm glad I can cook. Thank you, Dad. That's another thing that I learned, because if you do go plant based, you need to learn how to cook, or you need to at least try in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Because right now, unless you're gonna be eating processed food all the time, like that's the one thing I think that if they can figure out. Obviously, they say if you want to become a millionaire, you got to find a need and then solve the problem, right? Or find a problem, solve it. If someone could solve the problem that if someone wants to go vegan but they don't know how to cook, right? I mean, I know there's like some daily harvest or something like that, but I was fortunate that I knew how to cook, because I could prepare my own meals, right? But yeah, I mean, that's why I think it's helped me too, because if the girl I'm dating is not vegan, well, I'll be cooking. So I'll be cooking for the both of us. So they're like, cool, you're going to cook? I mean, and it tastes good. So they're like, this is good. So then I'm cool with it, And then they start to adapt, like to go more plant-based, right? Not all of them go vegan, but when they're around me, they're vegan. You know what I mean? And then they go off and do whatever. But most of the...
So you're okay with that? Like dating someone who's not plant-based?
I'm okay with dating someone who's plant-based, but long-term...
Long-term, yeah.
You have to be vegan, because there's going to be so many arguments with what you're going to feed your kids. Like seriously,
I agree,
like that's a long-term thing. Like I don't want to be getting in an argument with my wife all the time because she's giving our kids milk or cheese.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And because hey, again, if you're not plant-based, if you're not vegan, you know what? Hey, I respect that. This is my choice. It's been the best thing I've ever done. But I'm not going to allow my kids to eat something that I feel is like poisoning my kids, right?
I agree.
Like if it's like poisoning, like I'm not going to give that to my kids. So that's a big deal when you're thinking of a long-term dating, right? Oh, that's my chair, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay. My chair's making all these weird noises now. Anyways, hope the mic doesn't pick that up too much. But yeah, when you think about long-term dating, like diet's important. You know what I mean? It's just like money habits. Like I mean, if you're with someone who likes to eat like crap and you're a healthy eater, that's not going to work. You know what I mean?
I think even just for dating, it's like, okay, that means we can't really eat together because we're not going to be enjoying each other's food.
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, last girl I dated, she's already plant-based.
Oh, wow.
So I think like, yeah, it's a start for me. But before all of that, I was the main person. It's just
Yeah.
mainly like eating plant based.
What was that like? Was it like difficult or
So easy for
easy?
well, me and the girl who's plant based.
Okay, no, when you were dating people that were not plant based.
It was okay because
Yeah?
I was still pescatarian. You know what I'm saying? So I would eat seafood, but
That makes it easy.
but you got me thinking about long term stuff too now.
Yeah.
Because like me transitioning to just plant based diet, that's really important.
Yeah, because if you guys
Yeah.
plan on having children, that's gonna be like the main argument all the
Oh
time.
yeah, it will be.
You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
You guys will be arguing all the time, like, "What are you feeding my kids that?" I thought we talked about this. You know what I mean? When you're both the same, it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean?
You know, I want to share a story real quick.
Sure, go
So when one of my friends, they were asking me, "So what's your type?" Right? And I was like,
You're
"Well,
like,
she
beautiful?
has to." Well, I was like, "She has to be vegan or plant based diet." And then one of my friends was like, "What if she's a pescatarian?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "That's fine."
Yeah.
I mean, because for me, it was just about dating, right? Like, oh, okay, whatever, pescatarian.
Dating,
Because
I don't
I've been a
think
pescatarian, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, for 7 years. But now, like, long term, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. But we'll see.
I
We'll
don't
see
think
what
da-
happens.
Yeah, I don't think dating matters because if you're just dating, you don't
Yeah,
see them as
yeah,
long
yeah.
term, right?
But
And
if I do start to see her as long term, then what? Then that
they have
conversation.
to at least be open to it.
That conversation
Yeah.
is going to be brought up.
I think they have to be, at least be open to it, and you could see
Yeah.
if they're open to it or not.
Yeah.
I think most people are not plant based. Number one, because they don't know. It's ignorance, right? And that's where I was. I'm not gonna blame anybody. I ate meat. I ate animal products and dairy for 39 years of my almost 43 years of life. So I'm not gonna judge someone who doesn't know. So the first one is ignorance. They don't know, right? And it's so annoying when you know and someone's complaining about all their health issues and then you see them downing freaking milk and cheese and all these sweets and it's like, hello, like the reason they have those issues is because of your freaking diet, right? But they don't know. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I was lost myself. So that's like number one is like they don't know. The other reason is they're stubborn. They know, but they don't care. Yeah. They don't want to change. They're like, you know what? I love my meat. I'm like, bullshit. You don't love meat. If you did, eat a fucking steak with no seasoning, like raw.
Or like raw. Yeah, raw.
Or eat
right?
a piece of chicken like raw. Yeah, right. First of all, if you ate a piece of chicken raw, you'd probably kill yourself with E. coli or salmonella. Because guess what? You're eating freaking death, right?
Yeah.
Like you are what you eat. You eat death, you'll become death, right? So number two is they're just stubborn, right? They kind of know, but they don't want to make a change, right? And number three is like they just feel like they're gonna lose their culture, or it's gonna be too difficult, or they have no idea, right? But now there's so many resources and stuff, and then there's so many substitutes, right? Like I believe if people truly knew that they could still have the same type of experience, they could still have the same type of flavor, they could still have the same type of texture, but it's not going to kill them. I mean, common sense would just say, I'm going to choose the thing that's not going to kill me, right? But I think, most people, they just don't know, or they're too stubborn. A lot, there's a quote that says, most people would rather die than change. You know what I mean? Like, that's a true story. Like, change is so difficult. Most people would rather just continue and just die because they don't want to make the change. You know what I mean?
I think also it's like an attachment to their identity.
Yeah, the culture. I said, yeah.
Yeah, their identity that they grew up in and whatever they believed in, right? And it's hard to let go of that identity. It's it's almost like letting go of your ego in a way, right?
Yeah, it's like you lose who you are almost. Yeah. Like, I mean, I went through that transition too. Like, I was all about, I was a self-proclaimed carnivore before. Like, I was like, I loved like meat and all that, but I had to listen to my body eventually, I mean, and then that's another thing too. Maybe they're young and it's not affecting them now. That's the thing with diet. And that's like with cigarettes, alcohol, and diet. If somebody would smoke one cigarette and fucking die, like 10 minutes later, they're not going to be smoking cigarettes, right? But it takes years to kill you, If somebody would eat one freaking burger or, drink a glass of milk and freaking get cancer tomorrow, they would not do it. The thing is, it's slow over time, and that's why they say, because, in my old career, we did a lot of long-term care plans and living benefits plans. The statistic is 2 out of 3 people. So there's 3 people in a room. 2 of them are going to need some form of long-term care in their life over 60. So 60 is kind of like the age where all that bad eating and bad lifestyle will catch up to you, to most people. 2 out of 3. That's what almost 70% of people. So 2 out of 3 people are their diet and lifestyle is going to catch up to them starting at 60 and above, right? So I think that's the reason why most people are not. Number 1 is ignorance. Number 2, it's comfort. Or stubbornness. Number 3 is, like you said, they don't want to feel like they lose their culture. They're going to lose their tribe, because unless their whole family goes vegan with them, they're going to be the outcasts, you know what I mean? And then number 4, they don't realize that they can still have the same experience, just make it plant-based and be like 100 times healthier than what they're eating.
Man, honestly, for me, it has been a long journey to get to this point. Yeah, like I said, it all started with like having that intention of living a healthier lifestyle and just feeling good. You know, food is supposed to make you feel good.
Right.
It's not supposed to make you feel crappy or sleepy or whatever. And I felt that throughout my life. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, something needs to change. Yeah. Then that's when I heard about, being vegetarian and vegan and all that stuff. So the more you know, you have choices, you guys. Exactly. You guys have choices. Just listen to your body, more importantly, and see what works for you.
Yeah. And by the way, food coma. What the hell? You're going into a freaking coma. Why? Because your body does not like that food. Your body doesn't like how much you ate. Like, our body tells us. But just culture. Like, we're accustomed. We think we're supposed to feel like that. Like, imagine this. Imagine eating a huge meal that it was freaking bomb, and you don't feel like you're going to die 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to sleep. You actually feel energized. You actually feel like you want to go do something.
That's vegan burger for me.
Exactly, right? That's plant-based, right? That's vegan. So, anyways.
Yeah.
As you guys
we're
can
very
tell,
passionate about
passionate about this. But we probably lost half of our audience right now. All of our 3 subscribers.
Well, honestly,
we now have 1.5.
We are staying true to ourselves, and we want to provide and share whatever knowledge and experience that we have, and it's up to you guys if you want to apply that to your life. And
and we just want to share it through our experience and our stories. I mean, if you're a carnivore, if you're omnivore or whatever, and that's your bliss, hey man, go for it. You know what I mean? I'm all for that. But for me, and by the way, not just the health, like the animals, like when I started to learn about how animals are treated, what's crazy is, I did a debate on factory farming in 2003 for my college. And I was a carnivore. I was like straight up carnivore back then. And I had to watch these videos. And I was traumatized. I literally almost went vegetarian after that, right? I didn't because it was 2003. Like, it would have been difficult. My whole family was like, it just was not, it was not feasibly possible because I was so young. My family, everything, I would have had no idea. But I learned about this stuff, how the animals are treated. And I think when you go plant-based too, you start to connect more with nature and animals, and you start to be more compassionate, right? And I wish everybody had to watch a freaking video of where that burger came from before they ate it. Like the whole process. If you had to see the cows, how they're in little freaking jail cells and they're freaking slaughtered, or the pigs, or the dairy, the babies get taken away from their moms. You're drinking cow breast milk. Like, my milk doesn't come from cows, it comes from mothers, right? But if you had to literally watch that before you took that drink or that bite, I guarantee you, a lot of people
education.
Education. Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't make that decision. You know what I mean? But not only for the animals, but then our freaking environment. Like, the planet is being destroyed, and factory farming is one of the biggest reasons, right? I mean, if it's not for your health, if it's not for the animals, do it for the freaking earth you live on. Like, it's not going to be here much longer. Like, they're saying 50 more years. Something like, I think they said something like, if we don't reverse what we're doing now within the next 12 years, we're going to cause irreversible damage. Like it's like point of no return. Unfortunately, the politicians, the people in power, they don't care about the future. They only care about the now and their interests now. And but if the best way you can make a difference for if you have children or grandchildren for their future is to at least try to be more plant-based. I'm not saying you have to go vegan. Maybe cut meat down to twice a week, the weekends, or maybe just switch your milk from dairy to plant milk or whatever. If you're just 80% or more plant-based, your health, your environment, you'll just be a whole lot better. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, if it's, I don't know. Obviously, we're passionate about this. We've been talking about this probably longer than the entire podcast, right? Yeah. But let's switch gears here, right? But hey, we're following our bliss. You know what I mean? Let's talk about death.
Let's talk about death.
All right, no. So I don't want to talk about death, but I just want to give my.
I was ready. Okay.
Well, we can if you want to, but I just want to give you my new view on death, right? Because, when someone passes or we lose a loved one, it causes devastation, sadness, and all that kind of. But I learned somewhere that we don't ever die. Like, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Now, what does that mean? Our spirit entered this earth suit, let's just say, and we have so many years, whether it's 60, 70, 80, 100, whatever, in this earth suit. But when we pass, and I don't like to say death, I like to say pass, because we pass on into heaven or universe or whatever you want to call it, we're released from our body, right? Our soul is like, wee, like all the trauma, all the pain, all the memories gone. Because our spirit and our soul is happy. It's like, it doesn't have pain. It doesn't have trauma. It's this beautiful energy that goes back out into whatever it is. If you're Christian, it's heaven. If you're spiritual, it's the universe. If you're, whatever, right? So the sadness is because it's about us. It's not about the person that died. The person that died is happy. And I believe they're not gone. They're around us in like energy, right? But it's sad for us. It's not sad for them. Because they're now released from the earth suit. They're released from all the trauma, all the pain that the body holds. The body holds all that, right? So my new view on death is, it is a sad thing, and people lose loved ones, and yeah, we're not going to get to spend time with them, like talking like a conversation like we're having now. But if you're not thinking about you and you're thinking about them, they're released. If they were sick, they weren't having a great time on earth, anyways, right? I think it's worse when it's like a tragic death, like an accident, or they're young. I believe it's very sad when children pass away. But if they lived a life and they passed away, and they're still there, they're free. It's just because of us, because of our selfishness, because we want them around, right? That it's sad for us. So again, I want to live as long as I can. Don't get me wrong, right?
Same here.
And that's why I'm plant-based, and that's why I exercise, because I want my experience on earth to be heaven on earth. Does that make sense? Like that, they say heaven is really on earth. It's your choices. It's how successful, whatever success is to you. It's how healthy you are, because we only have one body. That's it. So if we abuse it and we don't treat it right, like unless they go and figure out a way to 3D print a new body part and put it in there. I think they're going to do that one day, by the way. I don't know if they're going to have like a clone of us somewhere, like where you go shopping, you just take out that heart or that lung or whatever. But we only have one life. And if you treat it, your body well, and you eat well, and you have great experiences, and you follow your bliss, and you're in your purpose, man, that's going to be like living heaven on earth. Right? So I believe death it's a sad thing for the people who are around, but it's not for the person who passed away. And now it's a lot easier for me to accept death. Some people think, oh, you don't have emotion. I go, no, it's not that. It's that I understand it's not about me. It's about them. And, it is a sad thing. But I'm able to accept it, I guess, a little bit more now. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my view. And I know you've seen a lot of death and all that. I mean, what's your take on that?
I grew up fearful of death.
Of course, we all do.
I think it's not just me. It's people dying around me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always like anxious and worried about other people I care about, even like my girlfriends, my friends, my family. It's like, you know, just please be careful. I'm always anxious,
Yeah.
for the most part. And I think it's just recently I reevaluated.
Evaluated.
Sorry, cut that out.
It's okay.
Anyway, so recently
Hey,
I
English is her
realized.
second language. Okay, guys. Yeah.
So recently I realized that when it comes to death, like I have to make peace with that, because
Yeah.
reason being is my body, our bodies are just physical forms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not gonna last forever, you know. And I don't know how old I'm gonna be when it's time to go, but you know, we're every single day of your life, you're aging, you're
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
So to me, that's, in a way, I'm at peace with that. You know, I'm not like I'm not like creating scenarios in my head, the worst things that could happen to me or my loved ones, because
Yeah.
like that's just creating and attracting a lot of like unwanted energy, and I don't want to feel that way. I want
Right.
to feel good, right? So to me, it's all about living my life one day at a time, because I know this physical form is not forever. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing my best to take care of myself and the people around me. Yeah.
That's 100% true. And you know, they say that our subconscious is formed from 0 to 7, ages 0 to 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think it's subconsciously probably in you that kind of fear of, or that anxiety of death, because you saw so much as a little girl.
Growing up. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But no one explained it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you just saw the sadness of the people that are around. You saw
yeah.
so maybe, hopefully, with my perspective, or just as you start to grow, you can kind of like see it in a different light. You know what I mean? But like subconscious is difficult, because that's another. I don't know if it was a Bruce Lipton or if it was Joe Dispenza, but
Probably Joe.
it was either him or Bruce Lipton. But they talk about, the Jesuits say, give me a child from 0 to 7 and I'll show you the man or woman. But when they say man,
I think
they say,
I heard
yeah,
that before.
because when we're ages 0, when we're born to age 7, our brain is recording.
Right.
That's why you say a bad word in front of your little 4-year-old, and the first thing they do is repeat the bad word, because they record and repeat, right?
Yeah.
So they're learning what the world is about from 0 to 7. After 7, they start playing back. So it's like an answering machine.
Damn.
That's already recorded. So all of us have these deep subconscious issues, right? Some call it arrested development, or you know, you just don't know why you do this, but it's because something happened to you from 0 to 7 that traumatized you or imprinted in your subconscious, and it's very difficult to change. It takes awareness. The only way you can change that recording after age 7 is through repetition or through hypnosis. That's it, right? So what is sports? Sports is repetition, right? So sports is like practice daily. Like that's how you become good at something. You got to just repeat, because that's the only way you can develop a new skill after age 7 is through repetition, right? Like this is our first podcast. Actually, it's kind of our third, but it's our first that's going to actually get published, right? But obviously this podcast is not going to be as great as podcast number 1000. Like 1000, we're going to be like veterans, like pros. Yeah, because we're going to be doing it so much,
Masters.
right? They say it takes 10 years and 10,000 hours to master something, right? But so that is something that subconsciously was inside you, and hopefully I could help you and anybody out there who's kind of afraid of death to kind of look at it.
That made me feel good.
Thank you.
Your outlook on death.
I appreciate that.
That's so chill.
Everything's perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's all how you look at it, right? And then for me, I think that the reason, because I'll be 43 this year and I'm still single, which means I'm not married. I mean, I've dated, but I can't really hold a relationship for too long, or I haven't been able to for, I think 6 years, 7 years, longest. And I'm like, almost like I don't want to get married. But I think that's because, and by the way, my parents have been married now they're going on 45 years, right? However, when I was 0 to 7, there was a lot of fighting, a lot of arguments. What what I believe is I was subconsciously programmed that marriage is fighting, suffering, like all bad, like jealousy, insecurity. So I think somewhere deep down, I'm like arrested development as far as like what a real marriage is like. Because, and don't get me wrong, I mean, my parents are amazing parents. They did great. They're like two peas in a pod. Of course they argue, but they made it through. Like they survived. But when they were first married, brand new, very young, like they had to work through it. So I was learning about marriage during their issues times. Not now. Like if I see them now, I would think, oh, marriage is awesome. Like whatever. So, and this is something I learned throughout my life through experience and getting to know people, learning about Arrested Development and all that kind of stuff. Podcasts, right? I literally think that Bruce Lipton podcast literally changed my life like 3 years ago.
I need to watch that.
It changed my whole perspective on everything, by the way. And I hope one day I get to have Bruce Lipton on this podcast because that guy is epigenetics and all this stuff is just insane. But and Joe Dispenza too.
Yes.
Joe and
Joe.
Yeah, Joe and Joe, right? But yeah, because of this stuff, I started to learn. So if you're out there, man, and you have this issue that you just can't seem to get rid of, it probably happened between 0 to 7.
That's
and,
crazy.
Yeah, and it's gonna take some.
But it makes sense though.
Yeah, it's gonna take some repetition, some awareness, some practice. It's not gonna happen overnight, but you can get over it. But yeah, maybe some ayahuasca. I don't know, just kidding. Not really. Anyways,
I'm doing that.
by the way, yeah, we'll have a podcast on that in the future.
We will.
But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of my view on death, and that's a little nugget for you guys on subconscious, because like your subconscious is something like 2 billion neurons or something like that, and your conscious is like 4,000. No, literally.
Damn.
So you have like 4,000 fighting against 2 billion.
Uh-huh.
Basically, we make 80 to 90, 95. I don't know. I've heard 80 to 95% of our decisions are made subconsciously. So we're literally on autopilot through most of our life. So if you go read a self-help book, if you listen to this podcast and you wonder why you didn't change, it's because that went into your conscious, not your subconscious. Mm-hmm. That book is not going to change the recording from 0 to 7. That's going to take some repetition and some major stuff. But the first step is awareness, right? And then a new perspective on things. And then it's going to take some time and some work, right? But you can get rid of a lot of stuff, Some people have a great 0 to 7. So they're just naturally bred for success. And it just seems like things happen to them and it comes easier because they had that programming already from young. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But yeah, so we talked about plant-based diet. We talked about our passions. We talked about our upbringings a little bit. Oh, I haven't talked about mine, but we could talk about that another time. Let's talk about travel, because that's another thing. Yeah. Because that's another big thing that we really want to do with this podcast and with this YouTube channel and all that. But so let's talk about travel. So where did the travel bug bite you, or where did your love of travel start, or tell us about that.
/ exploring. Yeah. Maybe.
Well, I mean, I guess it's been in you since you were a kid.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Again, right? I came from the Philippine Islands, right? I was there for 10 years of my life, and I just growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, I pretty much knew everybody. Right, the families, my friends, everyone in that compound. Yeah, we don't have that
anymore, especially here in, the Bay Area.
So, for me, it was like a daily, everyday thing that you just go outside and play. And for us to like actually venture out, right, venture out of our city and go somewhere else, I think that's what it hit me. Like, I want to go there. Like, whenever one of my older cousins would go to like a store, a different department store where they had to travel and hop on a ride, I would go with them because I want to get out of my scene. I want to get out of my environment.
So you always kind of had it.
I always had it, yeah.
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 That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the earliest thing for me, and obviously as I got older, I can travel to different states. I went to Guatemala last year.
Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty
Antigua.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because I just remember like I just look at your story, and next thing you know, I'm like, what? You're in Guatemala? And like, you're like in this little like Airbnb that was super cute. And, yeah. So tell us about how that happened.
So what happened was,
what happened was
one of my friends, he's actually Guatemalan.
Okay.
He's one of Amanda's friends too, and he was in the business.
Oh, really?
We met in the business.
What's his name?
Nano. Rodrigo.
I think I've met
Nano.
him.
You've probably seen him.
Yeah.
So one day we're just talking about like traveling, right? Yeah. And then it was like, yeah, he has family in Guatemala, and then it's like, okay, let's go to Guatemala, right? Because his friends are getting married or whatever. And then so we shook hands, right? I'm like, all right, we're gonna go to Guatemala, right? So finally, months later, I purchased my ticket to the dates that we're supposed to go to. He ended up not going because he had to take care of a lot of like personal stuff. He had a lot of personal stuff that he was taking care of. So you're probably gonna have to scratch out the name because I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do a little.
Yeah. So I had hesitation because like, man, what the hell? I'm going by myself. I don't want to go by myself, right? But then again, I can go by myself, you know. I've asked other people too, and you know what? This is an adventure for me. You know, I decided I'm gonna go. Yeah. I didn't even tell my family. Oh, by the way, I think only a few people knowing my life knew I was going out of country to a foreign country. I didn't know how to speak Spanish. I don't know how to speak Spanish.
That's even tougher when you don't speak the language.
But I have Google Translator.
There you go.
So
that app is money, by the way.
Yeah, so I went there, and it was an adventure. You know what I'm saying? Like I ended up I met a lot of people, a lot of locals, and even people that moved there from the United States. Yeah. And started living their lives there.
They call them expats. Huh? Expats is what they call them.
Is that what you call them?
Yeah, like when someone leaves the United States and goes to a different country, they call them expats.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's just the United States, but expatriates. So.
Oh, expatriates. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. So I met a lot of locals, foreigners, and American people from Europe. I ate at the best places. Obviously, I was eating vegetarian at that time. It was all vegetarian. Yeah.
Vegetarian's a lot easier than vegan, that's for sure.
Yeah, I even met like a bunch of Americans who were getting married, so I got invited to their wedding day. Yeah. I got invited to the wedding day and to their parties.
That's awesome.
This is all within 10 days, by the way.
Wow. You hear that, guys? If you ever want to just take off and travel on your own, just do it. I've always been a chicken not to do that.
And follow your intuition and follow your gut and like decide what feels good for you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I went to different museums. I had a tour at the Jade Museum. Okay. It was a free tour.
Jade? Like
jade.
Oh, so like the mineral?
Mayan jade.
Oh, wow.
Like the crystal.
Yeah.
So I drank coffee, Guatemalan coffee. It was really good.
Maybe some coffee.
It's actually the best coffee I've ever had in my life. Let's put it that way.
And by the way, imagine that, guys. Like the reason we're doing this, imagine we're waking up in a different country and we're talking about like having Guatemalan coffee or Colombian coffee or
Guatemalan food.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. So I even did volunteer work for this organization that provides schooling for kids for low income families. Wow. So I did that with them, and I even did some volunteer work for like a little animal shelter because I love animals.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I did 2 volunteer work, and I partied with the American people that I met from they're from California.
It's always the Americans, huh? Californians.
I even went to a restaurant that they have like monthly gay parties up the stairs.
Really? That's awesome.
It's owned by 2 lesbians.
Okay.
The restaurant's called Frida's.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna go there someday.
All right.
Anyway, and I met these Americans from New York. You know, we were just like partying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an adventure. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There was so many things to photograph, and I want to go back there.
Yeah, I saw some of the amazing pictures you got. That's awesome.
I have more.
Yeah, that's good. She's got more, guys. Yeah.
I have more.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know why. I've always been too chicken to travel by myself, but Yeah, I've heard so many amazing experiences from people who have taken that leap. And you know, that's what they always say, like everything you've ever wanted is right outside your comfort zone, right? Like to me, this podcast is out of my comfort zone because I have no experience in
Me
it.
too.
Yeah, you know, but we're doing it, you know. And I mean, as we talk and as we go through this, I just something inside of me is getting excited. Like, you know, I start visualizing stuff like, and like I just visualize us talking and like we're talking about different countries or we're in different countries and having these experiences. And I know it's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies and unicorns, but in the end, it's like, so the industry I was in before was retirement, right? And literally, I met with thousands of people. We always had one question that we asked them right before we would finish the presentation. At the end, we're gathering information. We would be like, you know, what are your dreams and goals in retirement? Like that was like the number one question. And you know, most people don't even think about it, right? Most people think about buying socks more than they think about their retirement, right? But I would ask every single person, and I kid you not, 99.9 probably said travel. That was like the number one answer, you know? And I'm like, that's so crazy. How do 99% of people, after 40, 50 years of dedicating their whole life to a job, most of them are not ever going to be able to retire, right? They don't have enough money saved. They lost tons of money. They never planned. They never did anything. But all their dreams are just to travel. And then I go, wow, what if that could be my everyday life? Well, I don't have to wait till I'm like 70, you know, and I did travel with my previous company if you qualified, and it was pretty cool. But what about traveling like as like your career, as like, you know, but like really getting into nitty gritty, like being able to stay longer if you're really vibing with the place and the scenario, you know what I mean? And that's why I'm doing this, and that's why we're doing this, you know. And it's like, I don't know, like if you're out there listening to this podcast, and just think about that, like, you know, if you're in this career and you're grinding and you think you're doing what's good, and you know, what are your dreams and goals when you retire? You know what I mean? If that ever is going to happen. And first of all, talk to somebody about that, because most people never discuss their finances or even think about planning their retirement. But what if you could follow your bliss now and start doing what you were going to do 50 years from now, 40 years from now, 30 years from now, 20 years from now?
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I never believed in retirement.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to wait till I'm hella old to do fun things?
Well, retirement is just a word that employees use because they want to get the hell out of their job.
Right.
Because if you truly love what you're doing, you never retire.
Right, exactly.
Like, this is never going to be retirement for at least for me, probably for you too. Like this traveling, following your bliss, and having new experiences.
Creating, building, contributing.
You know, eventually, probably when we have families, we're going to have to settle down, right? And, you know, but then a podcast, that's why I love the podcast part of this, is because that can be done with a family. Like Joe Rogan has a family, you know what I mean? He has kids. The traveling thing, that usually can normally only be done when you're single. Again, I'm not saying that because there's plenty of families who travel, you know what I mean? They take their kids with them, right? I know it's a little more difficult, but the podcast thing is what I love about that, is that can be done while raising a family, you know what I mean? So there's many different aspects to this content creation, this vision, this company that we're gonna create, YouTube channel, all that we can pivot, you know. But yeah, 99.9% of people say travel, and I don't know if it's just a generic response, because when they say, I would go deeper in the question, like, where would you like to go? And they're like, oh, everywhere, or wherever. It's almost like people are just can't wait to get the hell out of their job and get the hell out of wherever they're at, because they're probably so sick of it. You know what I mean? By then they're just like, oh my God, you know? And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the job, and if that's your bliss, go for it. Like, you know, my parents are retired now in Hawaii because they worked very hard for over 40 years, each of them, right? They dedicated the best years of their lives to corporate America, but they did the right thing. And it wasn't their 401ks. It was real estate and other investments on the outside that helped them have passive income, where they can retire in Hawaii and they can travel whenever they want, you know? Like my parents send me like pictures from Hawaii. It's almost like a postcard every day. Hey, we're on the beach today. Hey, we're eating here today. And I'm so happy that they're vegan now, or at least pescatarian. They switch around. They cheat a little bit, but they live on an island. It's very difficult to be vegan in Hawaii because
in Hawaii?
Because Hawaii is like meat and seafood and all that kind of stuff. At least that's what they tell me, right?
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird because when I went there, I found more vegan spots than they had ever found. There's a bomb ass sushi place in Hawaii.
Vegan sushi?
It's all vegan sushi and it tastes like sushi. It's like the best sushi. Almost like I was eating a regular sushi experience, right? But it was all vegan, right? But anyway, so they're retired.
Vegan, by the way. This is vegan.
There you go, bam. So they're retired because of corporate America. So again, if that's your bliss, go for it, right? Like their dream was to raise kids. It's all about their kids. It's working hard, saving money. And I think that's where my travel bug came in, because ever since I was young, my parents would never buy like new cars. They wouldn't splurge on stuff. They would either take us on a vacation or they'd buy a new property. That's all they did. So they would save money. They worked really hard in corporate America. Eventually, they both were making well over
practical.
Yeah. Eventually, they both were making well over six figures, and so they were able to save and invest. And actually, my dad learned the real estate from my grandmother in Mexico. My mom was against real estate because my mom wasn't taught that, right? My mom grew up in the projects of El Paso, so she had more of a hard knock life, right? My dad was always taught. My grandma in Mexico owns a restaurant, a grocery store. She used to own a hotel. Like when you're in little towns, like there's no jobs. Like the job is like you want to go break rocks for $7 a day in the freaking in the mountains, or do you want to own a business, right? So my dad, coming from a small town in Mexico, was always had that business mindset. He worked in my grandma's store. My grandma taught him about real estate. So my dad had that entrepreneurial spirit, you know. But the reason they're retired is because they spent their money on travel to give us new experiences, and I think that's where my travel bug came from. And back then it was like camping in Mexico, right? Because that's like poor middle class kind of travel, right? And going back to Mexico where my dad's from, but like nice places like Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, and all that. But where my real travel bug came was when I was 19. I was a chaperone for my sister's high school, because my sister and I went to the same high school, but I'm like 4 years older than her. So I was already like graduated 2 years, but they were looking for chaperones. So they went to Europe. They went to England, France, and Italy, and it was like four countries or three countries, like 16 cities. Like it was just crazy. Like, but we saw every major touristy thing. And I think that's actually the best way to travel if you're new. Go do all the touristy stuff so that you figure out what you really like, and then go back another time and just spend more time in what you really liked, right? But we went to England. We saw the Crown Jewel. We saw Big Ben. We went on the bus. Like we went to a club in like London. We went to France. We went to the Opera House, the Louvre Museum, right? I saw Egyptian artifacts, like real ones. Like I saw the Mona Lisa. And then we went to like 4 or 5 different cities in Italy. We ate like real Italian pizzas and a 5-course meal. And after that trip, I was just like, man, this is awesome. Like I just realized the world is so much bigger than San Jose, the little San Jose I grew up in. And like it just, ever since then, I just fell in love with travel, you know. I married a Swedish girl because I was traveling in Sweden to visit my best friend who was playing baseball out there. Fell in love, met the Swedish girl because of travel. You know, I've been to Costa Rica. I've been to New Zealand because my brother-in-law is from New Zealand. Like, it's just amazing. You know what I mean? And so imagine, you know, that being your everyday life. Imagine you get to document it. Imagine you get to share it with the world. Imagine you get to inspire somebody. If we just inspire a few people that are sitting there miserable, or maybe you're in a good opportunity, but you just don't feel like it's you. Like, that's why when you see, like, you hear NFL players and they quit football and people are like, what's wrong with you? Like, how could you quit? Like, you had this great millions, and it's because it probably wasn't their purpose.
Yeah. Like,
they were just doing it for the money.
Right.
And really they were miserable. You know what I mean? So they actually stopped and they wanted to go do what they really wanted to do, right? So, again, that's my chair. I'll edit that out, right? But if you're doing something and it's a great opportunity, but you don't feel like it's your purpose, you feel unfulfilled, hey, man, that we're here to inspire you, you know, like our journey, and hopefully you follow us throughout the journey. But we're gonna bring you more people who are following their bliss, so you can learn and you can get bits and pieces from their story, and maybe use that as a way to get out of your situation into what your bliss would be. And I don't know. So that's where my traveling thing is. Like, I got so many goals. Like, you know, we want to check out that vegan spot in Greece.
Vegan hotel.
Yeah, 100% vegan hotel. If there's any vegan hotels or whatever, and you want to sponsor us to go travel to you, and we can do a YouTube video about it, we can do a podcast about it. Let us know. Yeah. Because we're gonna do this, and it's exciting. And yeah. So I mean, that's I think we've gone over almost everything.
Is there anything else?
No. I think that's pretty good for now. Yeah. And I think that's good for now. By the way, you know, this is who we are. So hopefully you liked us and you got to learn a little bit about some stuff from us. Hopefully we inspired you a little bit. Follow us on Instagram at Bliss Seekers, BILSSSEEKERS, right? Go to our YouTube channel, Bliss Seeker 17. Subscribe to our podcast. You know, this is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get just amazing stories of people that, you know, young, old, whatever, following their bliss, living their purpose. We hope to inspire you to do the same thing. You know, and I'm excited. You know, this is just the beginning. Our vision is to be the number 1 travel YouTube and number 1 bliss seeking podcast out there. You know, I want to, you know, I see us one day as having 250 million subscribers on YouTube, right? You know, maybe 100 million subscribers on our podcast. You know, Joe Rogan has 8.4 million, and he just got paid $100 million. So let's say 10 times that, maybe 84 million to 100 million. That's $1 billion contract, right? Yeah. You know, and you're going to see so many amazing pictures from Joe. You're going to see some amazing videos from us. You're going to hear some amazing conversations. You know, coming up in our next few episodes, we're going to have some ayahuasca experiences. We're going to talk to a lady who is one of the most amazing parents I've ever met. And we're just going to talk to more people. You're probably going to get to know more of the team. And we're just going to talk about our travel experiences. We're looking to go, you know, because right now, you know, because of the thing that's going on, right, the quarantine, it's a little difficult with travel. But we're planning trips to Yosemite. We're planning trips
Fort Bragg.
Yeah, Fort Bragg. We're going to teach you how to become a tourist in your own state, right? Yep. You thank Joe for that one. But, you know, it's crazy because most people, I mean, I grew up in California, Bay Area, lived in Southern California. I probably have not even seen 10% of what this amazing state can share. You know, we're going to be headed to Utah because there's beautiful national parks there. Arizona. We're going to tour the whole entire United States, and then we're going to go worldwide, and we're going to share this with you guys, right? And hey, maybe one of our subscribers will get to be on the podcast, you know, and we want to be connected with our listeners, and we just want to inspire people and go out there and help people. So that's what you can expect coming up in the next few podcasts. And, you know, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Anything you want to add there at the end, Joe?
The other thing I want to add is, you know, at a grander, a bigger scale, we want to be able to help people and do a lot of philanthropy work.
Yes, philanthropy, 100%.
That's definitely one of our goals.
Thank you for mentioning that. I apologize for not mentioning that, but we want to do philanthropy and viral philanthropy, like Mr. Beast has made very popular, right? So we want to go out there, but we want to do viral philanthropy in different countries and help out people in need. You know what I mean? We want to give back. So all the sponsors that are going to help us, we're going to be giving a lot of that money away to our subscribers, to people in need. We just want to help people, like impact people. Because, you know, I mean, they say that it feels better to give than it does to receive, honestly. Like you think, oh man, it's awesome, I got this beautiful gift or whatever. But when you actually give somebody something and you see like how you actually really change that person's life, or, I mean, it makes you feel better. So We're going to be philanthropists, viral philanthropists, travel vloggers, podcasters. We're just going to do what makes us happy every single day, what our bliss is every single day. We want to inspire you guys to go out there and follow your bliss and just make the move and show you how. And we're going to try to show you the way, show you the path or the path of others, right? From our guests in the future, you might learn something. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next one.
Peace.
Peace out.